everybody, it is the amazing gaming guy here, and welcome back to Planet Coaster, where I'm continuing with my Dueling Dragons build. Now this week I thought I'd really try to finally nail down the actual theme of this coaster, because I have a cultural region. That's the sort of Japanese idea, Oriental Japanese, and now I really need a theme. And I was going with the sort of dragon thing, and I'm still doing that. It's going to be the sort of conflict between these two forces, these two dragons, whatever they may be. But I decided I really needed an actual visual theme for the actual coaster, because I don't know why I didn't nail this down right at the start, to be honest, but I've done it now, and I spoke to a bunch of friends, and we came up with this idea that maybe you should travel through the seasons, and that led me to starting to put this snow on the castles. I thought if you start in winter, we can have snow on the castles, we can have snow on the mountains, we can have snowy pine trees and deciduous trees, or coniferous trees, not deciduous, coniferous trees, that would sort of make this winter area, this winter season, and then you would come down out of this as the sort of coaster swoops down from the mountain, and it would swoop down into the spring area where there would be a lot more colour, a lot more life. There'll be sort of waterfalls and rivers and lakes and cherry blossom sakura trees and all the sort of beautiful things that you would associate with Japan in the springtime. So that was really my idea for this episode, and I must apologise. It's going to be perhaps a little bit hard to follow the video in some places, because I've sped this up a lot more than I normally do, because I got a whole bunch of footage. I didn't want to make it into 2 episodes, I just wanted 1. Because I need to make progress with this build now. I've been doing it far too slowly. I need to speed up, so this is going to be a bit of a faster episode, but I hope that will be okay for you guys. So yeah, I've started by trying to put all the snow on the roof of these buildings. This is from the recent sort of winter festive update. It's not easy to use. These assets are very, very tricky to use. They are all very strange shapes. They don't go together well. Frontier have been so amazing with the assets that they've made for this game, and I think they've really sort of not done a great job on these ones, if I'm completely and utterly honest. They look great, the texturing and stuff's great, it reacts perfectly to the light and all that sort of thing. It's just, it's very difficult to piece together these pieces of snow, these clumps of snow, into something that looks cool and realistic. Very, 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 very difficult. I had a huge struggle to make it look right, and I don't think I got it right, but if you only see it from a distance, it's okay. So now I've started going around and putting these snowy pine trees down, and these are cool. I can't knock these assets, they're very, very good. They look really cool. Again, they were part of the recent update. And I was just going around, I was putting these trees in. I was trying to replace some of the more colourful foliage that I already put in. So I took out a bunch of the sort of more colourful bushes and these sort of pink bushes and red bushes and all that sort of thing, and tried to replace it with more wintry items, so these trees and also these snowy boulders and some ice boulders and stuff as well, just to make sort of clumps of snow up in the sort of the high areas of this mountain, to make it look really wintry and cool. So a slightly different thing. Last week I asked you guys to suggest some names for this coaster, and you guys have been sending in your suggestions, so I thought I'd read a couple out. So let's have a little look. Fred Chup said Shimada Castle, so yeah, that sounds cool. I've put that on my list. 03 Zust gave a bunch of great suggestions. They said Eastern Dragon for the red, Southern Dragon for the yellow, or Mountain Dragons, or Sunrise for yellow and Sunset for red. It would kind of make a day. That's a cool idea. Yin and yang, classic idea there. Ribbons of the East, red ribbon and yellow ribbon. That's quite a cool idea. Spirit threads, shades of fire. Flight of the Fire Dragons. So loads of great ideas from you. Thank you very much for that. I like those ideas. I've put them all on the list. Liberator says maybe the Legend of Electriferno, as in an electric inferno. That's a very cool idea. It kind of reminds me of those pictures and paintings of when there's like a volcanic eruption and it triggers sort of lightning and stuff in the air, if you know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, look it up. Like lightning in a volcanic eruption. Yep, that's a really good idea. Sergeant Lucadator says Genji and Hanzo. Somebody's been playing too much Overwatch, I think. Make Spy says I could call the park Global Park, like Europa Park. Yes, that's a great idea. I also need suggestions for the name of the park as well, so that's a really good one. I've added that to my list. And Cuddly Clinhorn says they could just be Dueling Dragons, which was the name that I've sort of my working title for it, which I liked. You know, there's a reason that I called it this series Dueling Dragons. So we'll see. So thank you guys. Thank you for your suggestions so far. Don't hesitate to send in any more. I really could do with some more. And now that you can see a little bit more of the theme that I'm running on as well, maybe that will help you guys think of some more suggestions. So keep sending them in. I really like what you got so far. So back to the build, I've just put in those waterfalls that you saw there. I wanted to have the ride sort of swoop down over the water as you're travelling down from the mountain. And now I'm starting to put in some trees, and I had to put down a load of trees. So I thought if I used the blueprint creator to create a sort of clump of trees, and then to make an even larger clump of trees, and then just copy and paste that around this area of the park, that'll be a really nice quick way to add a bunch of trees. And I think it was a really good idea to do that, because just by adding some trees and stuff, it makes it feel a lot more finished, and it gives you a greater idea of how the ride will actually finally look. So I just sort of stumbled across these assets that I hadn't really seen before. It was the snow particle effects from the recent update, so I thought I'd go back onto these roofs and put in some of these sort of snow dust falls and sprays and things, so like you can see the snow sort of moving in the wind, making it a bit of a less static look. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then I came down and just went to finish the bottom of these waterfalls. And for this waterfall, I've just used a big sort of splash effect. The sort of water effects don't really work that well for waterfalls for the most part. Like the jets and things aren't that great for a waterfall. So that's the one asset that I found that really seems to work for a waterfall. It's just a sort of splash. And I think it looks pretty cool. It's a very ferocious sort of waterfall, but it works. So yeah, I also had this little bit that I've separated here, and you can see I've created this little bar of land around, because the water in that area had to be lower because the ride comes down, but I didn't want the water in the whole lake to be that low. So that's why I created that little bar of land around the ride as it comes down from the mountain, so I can have those two different heights of water and it would work okay. And now I've come into the mountain here, and I wanted to create a cool little ice cave to finish off the winter part of the Gold Coaster, and I just put some sort of snowfall particle effects and stuff in there as well, and some actual snow sort of dropping effects as well. I think it looks really nice. And it really just sort of solidifies the wintry theme in those two areas. Now I came over and I wanted to put another Torii gate at the exit of the sort of winter area. And as you can see on the screen, it's saying rage, 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 rage. Because, good God, it was so hard to copy this asset. The selection tools are so fiddly and picky, and they don't work how they should. it annoyed me. And it's sped up so much that you can't quite see how long that took. I was probably trying to copy that asset for like 10 minutes. I got there in the end, and I ended up sort of putting in some more rocks and things to solidify the effect, make it look like it's a part of that landscape. And I think it looks really cool, that area. That's actually my favourite bit of the ride so far. And to finish off this episode, I thought I would finally build the bridge between the two castles on the mountains. So I went into the building tab, and I started using these wooden steps. And I thought if I just build half of the bridge and then copy and paste that side of the bridge onto the other side, that would be the sort of quickest and easiest way of doing this, because bridges naturally are kind of symmetrical on both sides, so why not? And then I use these big sort of wooden beams to create the sides of the bridge. It's very, very rough, this bridge. It's not really well refined and stuff, because you're not going to see it that much. There's not going to be any people walking over it or anything. So I sort of took it quite quickly. I didn't put a huge amount of work into it, because you've got to budget your time when you're making these sorts of things. Some things do demand a lot of work and some things don't. And this was one of the things that I deemed didn't deserve to have a lot of time spent on it, so I could use that time elsewhere. So I went through it quite quickly, and it might look a little bit janky when it's done, but from a distance it looks great, and that's what matters, because you're not going to be seeing this thing close up. And so I put in these little posts at the ends, the either side, and then some supports underneath, so it's not just floating in midair, giving it some actual physical properties, making it make sense in the world. And I think it looks kind of cool. It's meant to be quite rustic looking, quite rickety, I guess. I think it looked quite good. And you'll see I also put some rocks and stuff around it, and some sort of terrain painting of some dried leaves and stuff, just to make it look like there's sort of a path leading out either side of it as well. So, you know, it looks like there's been people walking over it, and it's been there for a while, and, you know, embedding it into the environment as well. So yeah, that is just about it. That is all we have time for this week. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Carry on sending in your name suggestions. I've really liked the ones so far, but I'd love some more. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't yet. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.